Welcome back to the podcast. Am so pleased to introduce you to Dr. Laura. Dr. Irene Lara is a psychologist, an integrative psychologist, and she integrates holistic therapies into her work. And my intention when I started this series was to find someone who can explain and does EMDR, which she also works with high performing women and does EMDR. So I'm so excited to have her, and that the universe just put her on the path right after, and I met you right after wanting that. So I'm just excited to hear more about your journey that you've been on in this lifetime, and then what led you to your purpose and what you're doing now. And then, of course, let's get into EMDR and how it works and educate people so they can see if it's something that might be right for them on their healing journey.
Awesome. Great. Wow. So thank you. It's great to be here with you, Trish. It's been really fun after meeting you and connecting. And let me see. I know you want to know about my journey and how I made it here to this process. And it's tough, to revisit wow, it's been a journey. And I'm grateful, of course, because our journeys bring us to where we're at, and it doesn't stop, right? We keep learning things along the way. And I feel tender because I'm in the midst of learning more. So I think that's where more of the tears come from, not so much the past. So I want to honor that.
I'm going to honor that with you too. We're always on a journey. I feel like we're just deeper levels, of doing the work. And thank you for sharing that you're, like you said, you're expanding more and that can be tender. And yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, nope, I'm going to honor. I just spoke to myself. What is, so I can let it go. Okay. So I do remember climbing up the hill, being on top of the hill of where we lived, where I grew up, and being right next to the park, because there was a park. The entrance was up the hill, and getting towards up there. And I don't know if I looked down the hill and I said, quiero ser una psicóloga. Like, I want to be a psychologist when I grow up. And I was age 7.
Wow.
Now, I don't know that I knew what that meant, but apparently I did. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel understood. And I wanted no other child to ever feel this way. I wanted all kids. I still it was for the longest time. It's like kids to feel heard and seen and understood. Obviously, I can't hit them all, but it's been a process. And then I've also learned that we as adults have that child within us. So that's been a really great, because we have that. There's still parts of us we're never fully healed. I think we fully let go when we let go, and when we've processed, beyond the veil. And so we're always learning. And so, of course, we forget that. I don't know. I absolutely didn't remember that. At some point, I remembered that I had said that once I became who I became, right? In reflecting, but I'm trying to remember. So I'm trying to think. So obviously high school, college, I didn't exactly know what to do in college. I wasn't ready to study psychology or abnormal psychology. That wasn't in it for me. That wasn't for me per se. And life happens. Life happens. I'm trying to think of the short version. So I'm like, how do you condense? Because I see snippets of my life as I'm saying this to you. So I happened to work at the AIDS Activities Division, the first clinic and administrative office, the first 3 doctors that opened up the clinic for in the world. So Paul Boberding, Constance Wofsky, and Don Abrams. 2 of those last 2 have passed. And I just got to work with these amazing individuals and nurses and doctors, and in that community. And I could see the clients interacting with then the social worker. I don't know exactly what his title was. I never really interacted with him. He didn't become my friend per se, but I remember the clients would speak to them. And I didn't really remember that until after I lived abroad. And I lived abroad in a place where I didn't have a work visa. I couldn't work. I was used to doing stuff. I was used to being in sports and school and working, right? And being at home. And I couldn't do most of those things. And I didn't know that I picked up and I started depression then, but it was like a 10-year depression. I'm so grateful I went and studied abroad, and that was amazing. And there was this when I came back, it's like when you start to understand, oh, immigrants not respected, not given the opportunity to work, like how hard that is. Because I'm like, sure, I could have been a nanny, but I wanted to have money so I can go away on the weekends, and I didn't go really prepared. I just went prepared to study, not to travel and enjoy. And but I remembered that social worker like being the intermediary, because I don't do blood. So I was like, I love working with the medical profession, but I didn't do blood. I didn't do needles. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't be in nursing per se. So I'll be an intermediary. And there was this part of me that understood. And yes, through high school, lots of like dear friends, they would come, right? They would come to me to listen. We would share deeply. But I knew I didn't know how to help them then. Didn't know what this was. But in the process of asking and reaching out to other adults to tell me more about their work, I was introduced to the MSW program. I'm like, what is an MSW? A Master's in Social Welfare? Where in California? Because I was in Northern California. Where do they offer that? And so I was given the schools. I looked up their curriculum and I was like, yes, 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 that this is for me. My mom describes it as a noble profession. So I got accepted to UCLA and I graduated. And then I was like, it's like, you're a professional, but I'm supposed to be treating the most vulnerable population. And I have 2 years on my belt. Yeah, no. So I knew I was obviously work towards my license. And then I went for my doctorate. Now, in terms of my healing, because this is like, we're talking about my journey, a dear colleague, I think one of the women in the program or another colleague, where I worked, she invited me to a Kundalini yoga, whatever, what is it, class? A Kundalini yoga class. And it was like the Culver City Adult School. Like, so grateful for the adult schools. And after doing some exercises, in between, it was like resting period. She's like, now put your hand. So we were seated at that point. She's like, put your left hand on your heart and your right hand over your heart. And at that moment, when I breathed, I literally felt pieces of my then broken heart. Like I saw it, I felt it. It was very visceral. And it informed me that we are so connected to the body and the mind is so connected. Like that's when I started that connection and recommenced my nurturing of my healing self. I don't know if you hear my birds. It's so cute.
Yeah, they sound sweet. Yeah, it's nice.
And that's when that depression left. I didn't really know, but it took a while. Like I had been in therapy. I had been trying to take care of myself, but the talking piece wasn't enough for me. It wasn't going to heal my traumas that have impacted my whole self and my body. And I'm very body oriented because I'm a dancer at heart. That's like I've been gifted with that forte, that connection, that anyways. So much love and joy there, but I didn't pursue it professionally. that's a different story. Like, I'm a Capricorn. I'm very practical. And so I had to choose something where I could, assure that I'd earn a living. So I took care of myself that way. But I didn't. So it took me a long time to then get back to the body. And so the title of my dissertation was Incorporating Aspects of Yoga into Play Therapy. So it was the movement, the sacred movement, the music, but I only peripherally studied the music and the impact of sound and right in our bodies and all of that. So that introduced me to a whole new arena. And that was like where because I started referring my clients with certain colleagues and friends of mine who did energy work and body work and somatic work and healing, right? It integrated both, including the Reiki piece. And it wasn't until I received that more fully and I incorporated that, I got trained and I started integrating that. I was like, and I finished my doctorate. So it was like, yeah, I'm an integrative therapist. This is what I do. Now I'm an integrative psychologist, because I completed that doctorate. It's been a while now, over a decade. So, right, we go through so much. We go through so many healings and alternatives. So then it's like alternative stuff. Because when I was trained, they weren't incorporating the body or the spirit. And that I know the spiritual aspects, that part of me is my power, is my forte. Like I have strength in my body, but I have like that other piece is, even though I was raised very religious, I was always very spiritual. I was always connected. And do I dare say it? I was always connected to Jesus, right? Always connected to that Holy Spirit. I was always connected to spirit in that way, and call it what you want. So but that's that's my part of my connection. So it feels a lot to disclose that. And yet I can stand here and say it because that's in the back. That's for me. That's for me. That's not pushing on anyone else. There's no need, right? There's just a respect for the relationship that I have. And so integrating that became really powerful. And alternative stuff, I think I'd mentioned before, I kind of touched upon it. Yeah, I experienced a shamanic journey. Yes, that was powerful. Yes, there was a lot to integrate after that. There's a lot. And so, but it opened up this whole another experience for me, but an understanding. I'm not even sure. There was another understanding of why something hadn't happened in my life. Things had happened, things haven't happened. And essentially it was around why I didn't have a biological kid in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. And I think I understood I'm not supposed to, or wasn't supposed to. I was ambivalent for X, Y, and Z reasons. I didn't want what happened to me happen to anyone, to my child, because we know traumas usually patterns are passed on. So I saw that intimately. I worked in the domestic violence, sexual abuse, child sexual abuse arena also full time after working in HIV, and so there was that part of me that knew I didn't want to do that. So anyways, ambivalence. So there was understanding during this journey. Okay, I experienced something. I saw something. It's metaphorical. I don't know if it was real or not. Whatever. Right? It doesn't matter, like past lifetimes or not. I don't really know. But what I saw was, okay, I understood that was painful. But this lifetime, I get to be of service to more people, to more human beings.
Thank you for sharing that. It's like you said, whether it's this lifetime or past lifetimes, like we really don't know how we come into our purpose though. But by healing ourselves, we really do help to heal others and kind of step into our purpose. And I love what you shared about all of the different things, because it's not, usually one thing with us. It's the spiritual, the physical, the energy, just all of it all together, and that's why I'm excited about this podcast because I want to expose more people that might not know that there are all these modalities available for you. And like if something's in your body, I was pretty much just head up to in therapy talking for a lot of years because that's where things were, and I didn't, and it did help some, I didn't feel so alone, but it was really getting it out of my body. Through Reiki and yoga and all these different integrative things. I feel like everyone has their unique path for healing. But yeah, I just want people to feel restored and whole and get back to playing and dancing. And, you mentioned you worked with, like, I definitely have a passion also about speaking about domestic violence and, what uh, many people go through, in particular women with that and the cycle of that. And I myself have been through that. And it was the reason I really wanted someone to speak to EMDR is I had a domestic violence memory that would trigger so quick and I couldn't get rid of it. And it was just like being back there every time. So an EMDR, like it diffused it. It's like it's just gone. So I don't know exactly how it worked. I worked with the psychologist, but to me, that was very magical. That transformed my life and really took it out, broke it down in my brain. I don't know. I'd love for you to explain how all that works too, um, and what your experience is with working with EMDR, what you think, it especially helps with. Like I said, I just had that one thing with me that I can say I had a strong flashback where I experienced everything. I had PTSD and I would experience everything just like it was happening again every single time. It was like totally like recurred. And so it's like a torment. So then to be relieved of that and like, I mean, I could recall it. I don't really think about it anymore, but even if I do, it's like diffused, it's like my body can be so calm and so there's so much freedom in that alone, you know. So can you explain a little bit about what is EMDR? Because a lot of people don't even know what that is.
So EMDR stands for eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. So it used to just be following, the fingers. So EMDR, eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. So it's using the concept of when we sleep in REM sleep, our eyes move back and forth, right? Right, left, right, left, right, left. And so Francine Shapiro basically discovered she brought together these other pieces. It's very holistic. So she, walking, she like right, left, right, left, and opposite arm, opposite leg. That's part of why we also feel better. Not just, right, there's a combination of things, but it helped to process stuff. Anyways, that's the simple version. But we now know the bilateral stimulation. There's right and left. So we use that to, what's the word? I'm going to use a word for lay persons, like to entertain the brain. So we're going to touch base with the reptile brain, but that's where we get stuck, in the amygdala. It's good for small traumas and big traumas, right? The big T, the small t. You asked what it's good for. It's good for that.
Okay.
So, right, small t's and big t's. There's a whole range of them, right? And we don't necessarily want to mention them because they can trigger us. So,
Yeah.
um, things that really impacted us that we can't get past for whatever reason, and we haven't processed it. So it's our reptile brain, it's our animal brain. It's not what we were gifted with. We as humans were gifted with the prefrontal cortex, which is compassionate and organized, and it makes meaning and makes use of and disregards stuff. So we basically use the bilateral stimulation to have one foot here in the back while we walk the rest of our body and kind of stretch as we process the information, take what we can, leave what we don't need, discover and appreciate more of who we've been in this journey, how we've been, how much we've gotten through. We normally come out here with much more of an understanding and relaxed. I even saw your shoulders kind of relaxed. This compassionate view of, like, I've gone through a lot, or, oh, that was good then. And oh, I am strong. I'm not alone. Um, Whatever. I am not that.
Hmm.
And so it's processed, so it doesn't have to get repeated anymore, basically, right? It goes through a digestive system because our brain really wants to heal our bodies. Our bodies want to heal. When we're more at rest, we can do that. It will naturally and automatically do it. So um, the adaptive information process, AIP, has that 8-stage model where we prepare, we review, we strengthen your resources so you know where you're at, you're safe, you feel secure. You practice being in that before we get into it's like the training grounds. Like we do a little bit training before we go in and handle and manage and disregard, right?
Hmm.
The information. And then so we can relax because it's work, right? We work out and then we have the cool down, right? The warm up and the cool down afterwards, the recentering, the doing something that's calming, that's good for us. So you want to have some spaciousness before a session and afterwards, even if it's just 15 minutes, a half an hour is good, just to like have some space for you to regroup, to replenish, to resource, as they say, right? So to feel, yeah, replenished. Um, I really like it. And all the, yeah, I've been doing this work for over 30 years, right? And body and mind. And this was like, I finally was brave enough to come and get trained. And there's always, always, always more to learn. This is the one process that keeps it real, keeps it modern, keeps adapting it and, adapting it to each population. And so it's a beautiful model. There's many ways to heal. And this has really been one of it's one of 3 or one of 5 modalities that the Veterans Affair, the VA uses to help with the the soldiers in relieving their post-traumatic stress.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, and grief, right? Because stress brings all this. There's grief, there's loss, there's appreciation and gratitudes and anyhow.
Yeah. I like the way you explain that. It's because it's like something that's stuck in your brain and then, but your body does, once you're able to process it and like release it, then it's like your body, but it's like it's just stuck sometimes there where you
Yeah.
need that little
Yeah.
assist, you know, and that's what I experienced EMDR. So you're, you do it over Zoom too, right?
I do in person and in Zoom, especially nowadays.
So like if somebody is curious, like, and they wanted to do EMDR, can you explain a little bit like what the session would look like? Do you know what I
So
mean?
part of I always do a so the actual so the sessions look different.
Hmm.
They look different because there's 8 stages. And so there's the processing and they're in between we're making sure you are self-resourcing because you're the healer. I'm helping with the structure. I'm helping you like it's go through this maze. I'm helping you, I'm helping guide you. And so are we ready today, right? Have you slept? Have you eaten? Like, what do you need today? And where are you at right now? Are you safe? Are you safe enough? How do we do that? That's orienting to safety. Like, how do you know that? And is it okay to feel safe? Some people are not ever used to that feeling.
Mm.
They haven't. they haven't experienced that before. So that might take some practice.
Mm,
Some people may not have ever been centered.
yeah.
I experience that a lot with, like, if they've never had that experience, we're always on the out of our bodies, fight, flight, the sympathetic. We're just like ready to fight, fight, flight, or freeze. It's like we
Right.
don't necessarily feel the centered below the waist, feet on the ground, you know, connected to Mother Earth, okay with being connected to Mother Earth, knowing that we're like we're here right now on Mother Earth for a reason. We're supposed to be here.
Yeah. It's such a gift when you can feel safe in your body. But I think, like you said, like a lot of us just didn't even know that we weren't feeling that way. You're dysregulated since young, and you're busy, your brain, you're trying to protect, like you said, you were just stuck in those patterns. So I love that you shared that about making sure people even know what does that feel like and that that's possible for them. And then what are the modalities or the ways that they can be assisted so that they themselves, ultimately, because like I said, ultimately we are the healers. And then when you get to that other side to where you can feel that peace and safety and know like, oh, maybe I need to go and get ground a little bit or take some deep breaths or whatever it is. But it's a journey to get there. And you just, like you said, you got to kind of, for me, I can just speak to me. It's like I just didn't even know how dysregulated I was. I had no idea. I feel like I was very unconscious in a lot of ways of my life.
Right.
And then there was like awakening up to an awareness. And then there was like, now we're aware now. How the heck do we heal? Where do we go?
Right.
So, and then there's like, I'm so happy because I just want people to know, like, no matter what they've been through at any age, like you can heal. You can heal. You can feel good in your body. You can, have a free mind. And I have a whole new life, it's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yes.
So it's like the more,
Yes.
yeah, I'm like, please experience this. I want everybody to get
Yeah.
that freedom and that hope. And it feels so good, but you didn't even know like sometimes that you didn't feel good because you were so used to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really
And
be,
you say, I know so I want everyone to alleviate their pain so they feel more centered,
mhm.
however that comes, because it's right. We're all at different phases in our life, and some things work for others, and some may not want this, you know, may not be open to this process, or they've been hurt by other things. So it's hard to trust. And everything's a process. So whatever can get healed, whatever you can address now, fantastic. Whatever's ready. That's what I learned early on. Whatever's ready to be seen, as painful as it can be, it's there on purpose. It means you're ready.
Mm.
And if there's that longing to, I'm experiencing this, but I want some relief, then you're ready. Then you're like, okay, and you're making time for it. Then yes, then this is a perfect time. Explore it, go through it. And you said something at the end and you're free. It's like removing, can you imagine having this big boulder in your life, as we all have experienced? There's stuff in our life that's just in the way. It's so hard to get around. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to climb up the top and down to get to the other. It's like every day. And so sometimes it's like people just like, oh, they don't have the energy. Can you imagine chipping it away and it actually, right? Chunks go away like magically, but it's not magic. There is a structure, and yet it is magic because it's the body. We're body, soul, and mind. It's so amazing that just our intention of wanting it cleared allows it, helps, supports it to be cleared. And so then all of a sudden you're not on a dirt path. You are on the freeway and you get to live, right? You get to fly, however that is. And that comes incrementally, and then there's other bumps in the road because there's always going to be bumps in the road because it's called life. We're here on a training ground. So, but we're going to be more resourced next time. We're going to understand. We're going to go back. We're going to go back and practice things. I say, do you just eat once a month? once a year? Do you
Mhm.
brush your teeth once a month, once a year, once a week? No. You do it multiple times during the day. We eat multiple times. We brush our teeth, most of us, multiple times a day. Like that's because we need those reminders, and our minds and our bodies need that self-care. I know we will live, but are we surviving or are we thriving?
I love that. That's exactly right. Like there's just surviving and getting through the day, and then there's living and vitality and possibilities and a different way of when challenge comes in, you can you have all those resources. So you will get you know where to reach out to and what you need to do. And it's just a totally different way of living. And that's I love how you said that because that's how I feel. I feel like I'm alive for the first time really like and I have all of these opportunities and I'm so excited because it feels really good to be out of that just strive struggle mode and thrive. That's where I'm so grateful to be at this place and I want everyone to experience it in whatever way that they can. And I know you do coaching as well, so if someone isn't you know, maybe they don't feel called for EMDR. Like, what does coaching look like with you? What are some other things just so people know if you might be their person to help them on the journey? What else you offer?
It's so funny because everyone's different, but I use that the positive psychology and the gosh, I just blanked on the name, but it's like really looking at where you're at, your point A, and where you want to be. All of both the EMDR and this, everything is about where do you want to be, the intention, where do you want to be, and flowing to that. And there's like incremental steps that we use, like taking little steps to like get to where you want to go. And sometimes we're ready to leap, and it's understanding where you're at, where you want, and are you ready, and how much are you going to move? Like some clients are ready to move and take action now, and they're ready, and some just they want to dip their feet, in the water slowly. But we're going to walk you there. As long as you're wanting to walk, you have to do the walking. You take one step, you look around, that's a different perspective. You take another step. It's like, right? They're like little half steps almost. They're not even a full step. They're like a foot, 18 inches forward, whatever it is, I don't know, half a step, and you look around, you have a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that opens up our hearts, the hope, the possibility, the renewal, the letting go, because some of that is grief work.
Mm-hmm.
We have to let go. We have to be willing to trust. How can we trust?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and setting up that plan of what you want today, tomorrow, right? How much guidance do you need, right? We have to go at your pace, and I can this is where we can go. And we'll see, right? By this, we see quickly. And then, like we said, there's going to be, I call it, when I was going through my doctorate, I call it my own internal glass ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
What I'd mentioned earlier is it okay for me to feel centered? Am I okay? Do I want to live there? And do I want to smile big? Can I allow for this to really come into my life?
Mm-hmm.
So, don't know if that helps people understand what you want. It's good. It's great because I've learned if we go in two or more, we go as a group and we get there faster.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You learn from other people, from their stories and what resonates at different times. I feel like all these people were put on my path, and then you just make these little shifts. Like for me, a lot of times it was a lot of little shifts over years
Yep.
that finally got me to, the making the bigger ones because I had the trust that I could really, but it's a process, like you said, but I love that you're just like honoring wherever they are on their journey. That's, so important. And so if people want to work with you, where can they find you?
So, if you remember so it's like Irene Cara, but with an L.
Okay.
IreneLara.com.
Okay.
Right, IreneLara.com. That's a great way. I'm on Instagram also, some Facebook, uh, going into TikTok.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's some YouTube videos, but so it's pretty fairly easy to find.
So
The
fine.
calendar will soon be up. It's not on every platform yet, so you can plug yourself in. And we do an intro call. It might be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, no more than half an hour. Usually 15, 20 minutes. We have an idea. What do you want? Do our schedules match? And we proceed from there.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely link all of that to the episode so people can find you and all the different platforms. And then, what are you most excited about right now, is what I'd like to know. What are you most excited about in life?
Seeing how I maneuver through these changes in my life. There's big changes. There's always um, uh, these changes. I know these things are coming to me. These speaking platforms are like I'm finally open to them. I retired from the school district just 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago. My goodness. And so much has opened up to do more, to be more, to share more. And I'm really blessed. I wasn't always open to these speaking platforms. So many podcasts I hadn't done before. So this is perfect, right timing. And it's just opening up an opportunity to help others and help the community. I'm going to speak to a group of women who are just come out of being in shelter and helping them on their path. So I get to do that. I just was on a retreat with other like beings and helping them with grounding and new possibilities and new skills and like little things that we tinker with and
Yeah.
see if it resonates with them. And EMDR, I'm growing in that arena. And like I said, there's always life happens. And I mentioned the transitions. I have a 19-year-old cat at home and what that means. And shifting here, there's a lot because that's a daily basis thing. It's a daily basis thing.
Hmm.
And fortunately, my parents are still alive, and that's great. And they're older, so there's shifts and things I want. So both I have in person, but I'm really grateful for the online platform to be able to go through that with them. I want to walk through this stage. It's interesting. It's interesting because, right, it's the end game for loved ones. So I want to walk. It's not complete end because it's
Right,
right.
right.
It's a transitional period. It's never a full end. I understood that by working through in hospice,
Mhm.
reading. There's so many books. The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying really helped soothe my mind and my body. Uh, in
Oh,
terms
I'll have
of
to check that out.
looking at life as life and death. And so life being a process, and we're not used to that. So, so walking through that as I grow, it's like, because life is always, there's always some dying and some birthing,
Yes.
some releasing and some welcoming,
Mhm.
some no's and some yeses. And obviously there's always in between that. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm like in that transitional space, and that'll probably be the case maybe for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
Constantly moving. I think we're teetering now more than ever. It's like the old and you, the old and you, the old and you,
Yeah.
co-creation. Oh, this is what's speaking right now, the co-creation. Just on a really spiritual, personal, mental level, we're co-creating our lives. So right now I've been working, I started with some of the groups that I'm with, just people, friends, right? And communities, praying for, meditating on conscious, compassionate leadership for this country, as an example, for the world. And I know that we need to be that for ourselves.
Yes.
So there's one coming up in a couple weeks. I'm going to solidify the time and the location. You personally will hear about it.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful. I'd love it.
I don't know that it's open for everyone yet, because the spaces won't allow it.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and so that's huge. So that's a big on a daily basis, just knowing and trusting that. And
Yeah.
so you are so powerful. We are so powerful. What are we creating? What do we want? What am I creating today? Am I creating joy in my life? Am I creating, do I know I trust? Do I trust in myself to shift, to be able to know what's better for me, what's not, and what's good for me, and what's,
Hmm.
better for my family? And there's always this, right? I don't know, this teetering, this
Yeah.
replenishing and giving and receiving, replenishing, giving and receiving.
Yeah.
How about for you? What's
I
the next?
feel that too. I feel like that. It's like you said, it's on that side where you see something's always birthing and something you're letting go of. It's like, but it's very peaceful and it's exciting too. And it's just like what's trying to emerge, and then I'm going to flow with it. And then what do you need to say no to? And then when you do, other things open. And then I mean, I want people to individually heal, of course, but I really know like that's for to help our planets, our communities. It's like we have to heal ourselves first, and then that affects, you know, future generations, the cycle breaking, if it's up or down or just with our neighbors. It's like, and for us to build a more loving world and community, ultimately, when we heal ourselves, it's like it's the greatest gift we can give ourselves, but you're actually the greatest gift you can give your family, your community, and it's just to get conscious and heal.
And we don't do it alone, because we might say heal ourselves, but it's not. It's in
Yeah.
community
We need
with
community. It's
others.
so important that we need community. Yeah. That's why I started this and on the Facebook community too, and just different ways that we can all gather because like you said, we need community. It we were meant to be in community, but and that does help us. It has helped me to heal, having sisters and different people on my path. And I'm so grateful that you came on today. I'm so glad that we've met on our journeys as well. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. And um, yeah, just thank you. I honor you so much for the work you're doing in the world, for your own healing and opening to what's trying to emerge, and then just jumping out in faith to these new possibilities. Like that's so beautiful. I'm
Wherever
excited.
I can be of service to the universe, and where I can still be centered and be of most service. I want to be that.
That's beautiful. Me too. Absolutely. Take that.
Thank you
Thank you
so much,
so
Trish.
much. So
It's an honor.
beautiful. Okay, let me.